have to be intentional about the next generation. We can't depend solely on what you're going to do if we don't lay the right foundation for you to be able to do it. Does that make sense? We cannot stand and not play a role in shaping and creating an environment so that the things that God puts into your minds, that you have the power to actually achieve that. You know, I heard him talk about the counterintelligence program and J. Edgar Hoover. At the height of black power, when black consciousness was at an all-time high during the time of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the Black Panther Party, the power structure looked at all of these black men and women wearing afros and becoming accountable to their community, and that was frightening. Why do you think that that was frightening? Well, because what I want you to understand, and we're going to talk straight today. Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
Because I'm going to say some things today, and you can choose to listen, or you can choose to let it ride. But I would listen, because this is about to be a real talk. You have to understand why there was a real concern that black people were rising up to take possession of their communities. Because there's a vested interest. Our ignorance is profitable. As long as somebody controls the output of our labor, controls our housing, controls our bodies and our minds, then they can live and be wealthy. But at our expense. The problem with our community is that we've been given the idea of a heaven in the sky, while we build one for white people right here on this earth. We've been taught that we've been saved. How many people have heard that? And I keep saying saved from what? When we dying from everything. And they say, well, the good news is that we're going to go to heaven after we die. That's the good news? Shit, I got to be dead to get to heaven? Everybody want to go to heaven or utopia, but don't nobody want to build one. So at the peak of black power, when that consciousness was in our minds and that fire was in our hearts, J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI, with the full backing of the U.S. government, said that we have to stop the rise of a black messiah, one who could electrify and unify the strong, militant black nationalist community. So what was they in fear of? Young people. They was in fear of black men rising up, inspired for change. What is black nationalism? That means that we control the assets of our community. Not that we see ourselves simply as Americans, but Africans who live in America. And then when we start seeing ourselves as a nation, then now we want to control land. We want to control power. We want to control the assets of our community. So they was in fear that we was going to wake up out the sleep that we had been in, where somebody else was paying the price for us, and that we would wake up and understand the value in paying the price for ourselves. So they said we have to stop the rise of the black messiah, the one who could electrify and unify. The key ingredient is what? Unity. Unify the militant black nationalist community. And so they started with the assassination of our leaders. They didn't just kill Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, destroy the Black Panther Party. What they killed was that idea of black power and consciousness. And they began giving us movies. How many people understand the power of entertainment? How many people in here want to be a rap star or some type of entertainer? You know, they after y'all the most. Because whatever you singing about, whatever you acting about, these are the things that influence people the most. You don't have to be educated to be entertained by a rap song or entertained by a movie. And so they gave us movies like Superfly, Dolomite, things that we today call black exploitation flicks, things that began to glorify pimping, hoeing, hustling, drug use, and abuse. And so now, today, fast forward 50 years later, and we see now the residual impact of all of that imagery. And we don't understand that that fight to destroy black people never ended. Mass incarceration took its place. Do you think that it's an accident that the young men and women of our community are locked up in mass numbers? Why do you think that they want us in jail? They ain't got to kill us. All they got to destroy is your potential. Destroy your shot. But the real question is not the mass incarceration, but what about you is so powerful that we got to incarcerate what's in your mind? Are y'all getting this? What's so powerful about us unifying? What's so powerful about us being free that there would be an organized effort to destroy that? Right? That's the question that we want to answer today. And so the work that we're doing, that this brother's referring to on 79th Street, we have begun the process, not of begging the government to change our condition, but what we're doing is organize people who understand that it's our role to change our condition. You see a lot of vacant storefronts on 79th Street, and we believe that those vacant storefronts are opportunities. How many people know that breakdowns create breakthroughs? I want y'all to repeat that with me. Breakdowns create what? Breakthroughs. So all of them vacant storefronts, I want y'all to see in our community an opportunity for your ideas, your vision. And so what we believe through the New Life Movement by Project 5000 is that we have the ability to create an economic engine using home ownership and small business development. So what we're doing, we started a business center that we call the Bob Biz Center on 79th Street, where we can help people take their ideas and bring them to life. We got to take our ideas, our hopes, and take them out of our imagination and put them in one of them vacant storefronts. Why is that important? And how does that relate to you? See, when you walk into your community unconsciously, when you see all of those foreigners and you exchanging your money and giving them your money, and then they taking your money and going to their communities and putting their children through college and giving their children hopes and their dreams wings, while we stand in the shadows selling drugs, trying to figure out how we gonna survive and then killing each other in order to get that same opportunity that we had in our pocket. But we gave it to them and they took it, ran with it, and we got stuck holding the bag. Am I making sense? Yes, sir. So the question becomes, how do we change? How do we make a difference? Most of us don't believe that politics has any value. How many people believe that there's no relationship between your vote and change? How many people do they think that they can change something with their vote? Have y'all lying. But no, that's real. Part of, before Barack Obama, I never even voted because I was one of those people that never saw a difference between me casting the vote and real change. So I never voted. However, I realized that no vote is a vote. Am I making sense? When we don't vote, that is a vote. One way or the other. But we got to do more than just vote. We got to vote our interests. We don't need to vote as a Democrat or a Republican. That's something that they created to build their world. And so what we did, understand this is how our community has gotten trapped, and our votes has even been used to work against us. Because many of us don't understand this political process. And so what's happening is we have become blind Democrats. What's that mean? That means that we had already made a choice on which party that we're going to go with, even before that party has offered us something or that we bartered or something in exchange for our vote. It's kind of like, you want something from somebody and they want something from you. But you already, before you get what you want, you give them everything you got. How much of a chance do you think that you're going to on the back end get what you want after you done already gave up what you got? Right? It's going to be kind of hard, right? And so what we realize is that we have to remain neutral. We have to stop voting for messiahs, people who we think, politicians that's going to change our community. And we have to decide on an agenda. What do we want to happen no matter who's in office, right? So we must decide what our interest is and remain neutral with our vote till we see which party will speak to our interest before we cast our vote. And we can't do that individually. We have to do it collectively. We've been looking for justice ever since I've been alive and before that. But the only way we're going to get justice is when we realize that it's just us. Am I making sense? So what we got to do is we got to organize our votes. You say, why do politicians lie so much? The enemy of the people is not necessarily the politicians, it's big business. How many people know that J.B. Pritzker spent $177 million to be the governor of Illinois? He spent $177 million to win that office. You know how much the job of governor pay? Anybody? $177,000. That don't add up, do it? Why would somebody spend $177 million to get a job that pay $177,000? Go ahead. What? No, because he's smart. He said because he's a savage. No, because he's smart. Because that 177 million even is a drop in the bucket, because I believe that the budget of Illinois is over $100 billion. And the governor has the power to control who get that $100 billion. And so companies put money behind candidates who they think can win so they can control the distribution of that $100 billion budget. Is it starting to make sense now? So if I know you got a chance of winning and I got some money, I'm trying to put my money behind you, because when you get in office, it's understood that you're going to move assets in my direction. Maybe you will give me, I might give you $1 million, but you might give me a $100 million contract. Are y'all getting it now? And so what's happening is that even though we making a lot of noise, it ain't the people that make a lot of noise that get the benefit of politics. It's the people that whisper, but they got a check on the other end of that whisper. That's who getting the benefit from our politicians. So we have to organize ourselves around our interests and speak with one voice. So I won't bore you with them details. All I want you to understand is how this game works. Why do we need to understand politics? Because politics is a concentrated expression of economics. People organize politicians around their economic objectives. So we have a vision on 79th Street that we want to rebuild our community. We can't do that without our tax dollars working to benefit us. And even if we stay out the process, there are people who do understand and have paid for our politicians. So now we're fighting against each other to get whatever crumbs is on the table. So this got to stop. This is why we came today, to kind of help y'all understand. Now, why is it even relatable to y'all? Because every movement has been driven by young people. Every movement, the civil rights movement, didn't really catch fire till young people got set on blaze. Y'all, the future, the reason why my generation, I'm 49, the reason why we so damn afraid is because when we look in the school system and we see that y'all ain't paying attention to the basics and all this fuckery is going around, that shit is scary. Because we know that beyond all the laughter, running the teacher crazy, playing dominoes or whatever they doing, when you get out into the real world, if you can't count, if you can't read, all of that shit is directly proportional to your ability to lead and to think. And if you get out in the world and don't have the basic tools to build a house, then you're going to get out in the world and the world is going to be an enemy and you're going to do something stupid. And we're going to lose the future. That's why we say that we got to be intentional about supporting your generation. And that's why this brother is so powerful, because he's speaking directly to you. But now you got to speak directly into your consciousness. You have to speak into the government of your mind and decide, what am I going to do? I know all my friends is doing the wrong thing, but what am I going to do? And I'm going to hit you with this. You may say, what can I do? I'm just one person. Oftentimes we may feel that our vote or our contribution is like the snowflake. You ever seen when it first starts to snow? The snow come down to be little flakes, and they so light and insignificant that they almost melt in the air before they ever hit the ground, right? But what happens when the snow get a little heavy? When the snow start getting a little deep? When we start waking up? What happens when we start organizing with other snowflakes? Now we can make a snowball. And being here from Chicago, I know that y'all been in a snowstorm. When enough snowflakes get together, we can shut down this whole goddamn city. Right? Come on. So I'm asking, especially since it's winter, can we at least get a snowball up in this month? Right? So with that, I want to thank y'all. You'll see more from me. You'll see more from Brother Kadia. Come to 79th Street. Get involved with what we're doing. I'm your boy, Ro Davis. Thank you.